So, ladies and gentlemen, today I am so very honored to be able to speak with who have become dear friends of mine, and that is, on the one hand, Mrs. Veronique
Semexant.
Was almost right,
yeah.
Sorry. And Kim Tsoj. Kim I met 2 weeks ago already. He dropped by, and they're both organizers of the Freedom Convoy in Canada. And 2 weeks ago, Kim showed up in my office with a huge flower bouquet, thanking me. And he was telling me about some initiative they had been planning. And I told him that I would love to support them in this. And that's what we're actually doing here. But first of all, I would like to give you an overview what actually happened in Canada and why I am so invested in this. As you all know, last year there was a Freedom Trucker Convoy launched in Canada. It was just huge. They joined from everywhere, from every single corner of the country. They all came together and they wanted to protest in Ottawa in front of Parliament Hill to basically oppose the regime that was erected in Canada in regards to the COVID restrictions and, of course, against the mandatory vaccine mandates. That was what it was all about. What happened was the Trudeau regime came down on them very hard, labeled them as terrorists and pursued them as such, prosecuted them as such. There was an emergency act passed which allowed the Canadian government to really get down on those people. So what happened was the Canadian truckers were labeled terrorists and they were prosecuted as terrorists. So were everyone in support of that freedom movement. And it came down to little things like supplying them with gasoline so they could run the engine to have some heat in the trucks, or even dropping by and bringing them some coffee or blankets. And all of this support they received, they were also labeled terrorists, aiding and abetting terrorists, and they were prosecuted in the same manner. Furthermore, there was, you may have heard, there was a donation site, GoFundMe, and they had raised more than 10 million Canadian dollars in support of the Canadian truckers. These funds were just simply seized. The funds were not refunded to the donators, but they were spent elsewhere, whatever the Canadian government saw fit to spend them on. So what we're talking about is actually in Canada, they are erecting, I would call it a totalitarian regime, and we're seeing the beginnings of it. So this is basically what happened last year during the protest itself, in the aftermath of which there have been imprisonments taking place. We will talk about 3 people that are basically political prisoners in Canada right now. And first of all, I would like to ask Veronique. Last week, July 1st, there was a national holiday in Canada. They call it Canada Day. And basically what they're doing is, it's like a family day. People go out, they celebrate their country and their culture, their freedom, their democracy, which the Canadians have every right to celebrate, by the way. Well, this year it went down in a different manner, and I would like Veronique to, tell us about it. How did it go last week?
Well, last week we seen the police state. So there were barriers everywhere. There were checkpoints. So 4 checkpoints in order to go on Parliament Hill. But moreover, they pushed the parties 2 kilometers away from Parliament Hill. So you, in order to go on Parliament Hill, you have to show your ID. You have to be, so they control what you have, if you have weapon, if you were wearing messages that they don't allow you to have. If you bring,
Messages?
yeah,
You weren't allowed, like what?
like if it has to be like some T-shirt to say,
Okay.
like if you say those T-shirt, I don't want to say it in front of camera, but you know about
Okay.
Trudeau.
Derogatory terms you weren't allowed to
You
have.
wanna-
So what if I wore a T-shirt saying, let's say, my body, my choice, no COVID vaccine?
You will be allowed to go in, but most of people with that views won't do the checkpoints, because for us, Parliament Hill, it's for the people. It's
Okay.
the people place. So why would I have to be checked in order to be in front of my parliament? So people were outside the perimeters, and there were police everywhere. You have to be on line up to be checked. Kids, they check on strollers. They check on young kids. And if you have those messages that they don't like, they don't allow you to get in. And it was silence because you wasn't allowed to scream and say slogans. So people who has permit, license to protest have been pushed away from the parliament place. So it was a silence for about a few hours. You can listen. You've never been able to hear yourself talking on Canada. It was like, hi, screaming for
Okay.
everybody. But it was so quiet, dangerously quiet, with all those police officers. So that's what
Okay.
I've seen.
So it had nothing to do with how you experienced Canada Day in the previous years, like people just, you know, being joyful, chanting, you know, just having a good time, basically enjoying themselves, celebrating your country. So that was not happening this year?
That was happening, but you have to go to those specific sites. And
Okay.
but I never seen Canada Day somewhere else than in front of Parliament Hill in Ottawa. And even a clown wasn't able to be in front of Parliament Hill and give balloons to kids. There wasn't any sweet amusement. There wasn't any music. There wasn't, like, it looked like you go visit someone in prison.
Okay. So basically the restrictions of even getting to Parliament Hill, they were like so tough that basically you were like being criminally investigated, being patted down.
Yeah.
And even kids, you said?
Yeah.
Small kids, even a baby you mentioned had been patted down. Well, I will have to say that doesn't sound joyful at all, and makes me kind of wonder, what are you afraid of, Mr. Trudeau? Are you afraid of your own people now? Well, possibly should be, because the regime you're running over there, it is frightening. It is really frightening. So anyway, in the aftermath of the protest that took place last year, there have been arrests made. And that's why we're actually here today.
Yep.
We're talking about Tamara, Lich. We're talking about, now I have to look at the sheet again, Chris Barber and Pat King. They have been arrested for organizing this protest, having played a major role there. And I would call that political imprisonment. And when you look at the countries who imprison people for political reasons, they're usually called dictatorships. And that's what I would have to call Canada at this point. So anyway, 2 weeks ago, Kim came to see me, which was really nice that you came by. I was totally surprised. It was a nice surprise, though. He came by and he told me about that they were trying to get 2 petitions going. And the one petition is pertaining to, like I said, Tamara, Lich, Chris Barber and Pat King. And the petition is about, or aims at, having these people recognized as political prisoners in Canada. And when Kim told me about this, I said I would be very honored to publicly support this petition because I'm convinced that's what's happening here. These are political prisoners, and it is just a disgrace of having done this or doing this in a democracy. But like I said, I don't think Canada is a democracy anymore. So that's why we are here today. If you would like to say a few words.
Yeah. Je vais parler en français parce que c'est la langue que je maîtrise mieux. Donc, je voulais d'abord remercier notre député que je pense le peuple canadien chérit le plus actuellement au monde, Christine Anderson, et nous supporte dans notre combat. Ce n'est pas un simple combat en tant qu'un seul peuple. Parce que nous combattons maintenant pour la liberté du monde entier. Si nous perdons notre combat au Canada, donc les régimes totalitaires ils vont s'imposer un peu partout, même en Europe. Donc nous voyons les tendances, tout ce qui se passe au Canada, ça va arriver en Europe, en Australie, en Nouvelle-Zélande, un peu partout. Donc nous, on défend notre constitution canadienne. Parce que tout ce que nous avons fait actuellement, c'était à l'intérieur des constitutions canadiennes, avec les chartes des droits et libertés. On n'a jamais franchi les limites parce que notre manifestation était et il va être toujours pacifique. Donc, dans la Constitution, c'est marqué dans les chartes des droits et libertés que le peuple canadien il a le droit d'exprimer ses désaccords profonds avec la politique du gouvernement fédéral. Et nous n'avons jamais, au grand jamais, franchi ces limites-là. Au contraire, notre gouvernement qui était élu comme démocratique est devenu tout d'un coup despotique. Et notre tyran, Trudeau, il a dépassé toutes les limites démocratiquement qui étaient données par le peuple. Maintenant, il est en dehors de ce champ de compétences. Vous savez, on a des centaines de personnes qui sont mortes pour cette constitution-là. On n'a pas le droit de piétiner avec des chevaux, pas seulement le peuple canadien, mais la constitution elle-même. Parce qu'en tabassant son propre peuple par les policiers, il ne doit pas aller chercher l'amour de ce peuple-là. Vous savez, moi, je peux vous dire qu'est-ce qui va se passer si on perd ce combat-là. Parce que moi, comme Christina, nous le savons qu'est-ce qui va arriver. Donc, à la place de notre démocratie, on va avoir les régimes comme soviétiques. Quand n'importe quelle opposition, ça veut dire la mort. Quand tu prononces les mots d'opposition au pouvoir, c'est la mort. Et pas seulement à vous, mais les membres de votre famille vont passer. Il y a 2 ans, personne ne croyait que les gens ils vont devoir porter les masques. Vous ne croyez pas. Mais ce que je vous dis là, ça va arriver aussi si on ne s'oppose pas à cette dictature-là. Parce que mes parents sont morts dans un goulag. Moi, je suis né à l'Union soviétique. Christine, son père était en Allemagne de l'Est. Il était emprisonné à plusieurs reprises. Mes parents sont morts pour ces convictions-là. Puis moi, j'étais trop jeune pour protéger mes parents. Mais maintenant, que tout ce qui se passe, quand je vois Tamara, puis Chris, puis Pat King emprisonnés, moi, c'est mon combat personnel. Parce que si je n'étais pas capable de protéger mes parents parce que j'étais jeune, là, je suis capable de protéger les gens que je chéris le plus au monde. Tamara, c'est elle qui nous a montré le chemin vers la liberté. Il nous a donné un peu d'espoir dans le monde de ténèbres qui nous approche. Parce que jamais, au grand jamais, le Canada n'a connu les années sombres que nous vivons maintenant. Et si on ne se réveille pas maintenant, ça va être trop tard. Et donc, pour un prisonnier politique, c'est vraiment... on apprécie beaucoup la position des parlements européens qui nous appuient. Et puis, pour Tamara Lich, elle mérite de devenir 18e femme prix Nobel de la paix. Elle va être 18e. Et puis il me disait, comme j'ai lu quelque part, la mère Teresa, en 69, elle a reçu aussi le prix Nobel de la paix. Et comme mère Teresa, Tamara, elle me disait, je ne veux pas participer à une manifestation contre le gouvernement. Moi, je vais être à la manifestation pour la liberté. Donc, nous devons être tous pour la liberté. Et je remercie encore une fois Christine pour nous appuyer. Freedom.
Merci. Okay, yeah. Like I said,
donc,
I'd be more than happy to sign these.
Donc, vous allez signer ici.
And like I said, I'm very honored to be given the opportunity to sign this in person. I really am, because you took a lot of traveling upon you to make this happen. And here it goes. So that was the status about the political imprisonment. And now we have the nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize of Tamara Lich,
yep,
which I'm more than happy to sign.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. So,
merci beaucoup.
I thank you for once again coming to, Strasbourg this time. And from what I heard, we will be seeing each other again. Yep. It pertains to this, and I'm looking forward when we do see each other again. And thank you so much for being here. And I wish you all the best. And I will have to say, you are some brave people. Mm. I have to really commend you for that. And it is people like you that we need. It is people like you standing up, doing the right thing. Because what a lot of people seem to have forgotten is freedom and democracy. It did not just fall out of the blue sky one day. Mm. It had to be wrestled from former elites. And now, our nowadays elites, they are trying to grab it back from us. And we must never allow this to happen. So I'm very grateful for people like you and all of the support you have among the freedom truckers. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Because I can't stress it enough, the Canadian truckers, they were the light of hope that had been sent out to the world. And you guys inspired so many people, and you actually woke them up, because that's what we need. We all need to wake up. Because, as the saying goes, if you sleep in a democracy, you will have a very rude awakening in a totalitarian regime. Yeah. That's what we need to fight, and I thank you so much for having been here, and we will keep going. And in the end, I'm sure we will prevail. The people will prevail. So thank you so much for being here.
Merci pour vous.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for your time and your support.
And to you out there, I can only say, join this fight for freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. We need you on the street. We need you to tell your governments you will not put up with this anymore. Please join this very important fight for freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.